What's up?
One is if the flu shot that I took,
Sure,
and everybody else should be taking, if there's other strains of flu wandering around, how do we protect ourselves? And number two, I'm seeing a lot of my friends who have found themselves allergic to pine needles.
allergic to pine needles?
As they're putting up their Christmas tree, and they didn't used to be. Because that's something that your body can change?
Yeah, well, okay. Let's take the first piece first, because it's going to influence more people than a pine needle allergy, which, by the way, I don't think I've ever heard of before.
Well, they say they itch after they put up their Christmas tree.
Well, tell them not to wear a long-sleeve shirt or something. In any event,
here you go.
Let's talk about the flu vaccine, okay? Yeah. And most of the people listening in are old enough to remember the old bicycle locks. You know, the kind that they were chains and they had these numbers that kind of rotated on themselves. There might be 3 numbers, might be 4 numbers, but all the numbers had to line up for the lock to open. Well, with the flu, okay, there are 2 principal proteins that your body will develop antibodies to as a result of these inoculations, the flu shot. Okay, one's called the H, the other one's called the N. And they have different, let's say, chemical properties. And what happens is the CDC and others, okay, will try to predict what the 2 most likely prevalent strains are going to be for any particular year. And how do they do this? It's all done on statistics. They come and they go with some regularity. So when they develop the flu vaccine, which does take time to do, okay, it'll be based upon the best guess of what the H and N antigens are going to be. Well, guess what? You're not likely to get it right every time. And in fact, they rarely get it right at all. But it doesn't really matter, okay? Because if you get one of them correct, the H or the N, then your body will develop sufficient protection to mitigate. That is, to reduce the symptoms, reduce the severity, and reduce the likelihood that you're going to die from the flu. And more people die from the flu than die on the roads. Okay, so if you're worrying about dying on the roads with some of these jerkweeds that are driving up and down I-4, you stand a greater chance of dying from the flu. So what do? You get the flu vaccine. So if you're exposed to the flu and you should develop it, the symptoms will be diminished if you receive the vaccine. Depending upon how lucky they are and depending more upon how lucky you are, okay, those symptoms can be either very, very mild or they can knock the heck out of you, but they won't kill you. So either way, get the flu vaccine. Okay, you know, in particular when you're looking at these H1N1s, you know, those are killers. Okay, so if you get one of the milder ones, okay, so what? So you take a couple days off. But even at that, okay, people die of pneumonia following the flu, so it's a good thing to get. Okay. What can you do on top of that? Which is, in my mind's eye, is an even better question. So typically what I do, okay, I do this for myself, I do this for my family, and I'm willing to do this to anybody who might be listening in on this conversation. Okay, one is you take something called colostrum. Okay, and that usually gets raised eyebrows. They go, huh? You know, what's colostrum? Colostrum is actually the milk that comes out very soon after birth. Well, you're not likely to be running up and down the street finding volunteers for this, so what they do is they get it from cows. It can be delivered in liquid form, which I highly suggest that you avoid because of certain infection, including listeria, or you can get it freeze-dried in capsular form, which is the way I like to deliver it. What this is, it's like a gamma globulin shot. You take a couple of these capsules twice a day, and it knocks the heck out of the flu and many other similar viruses. So it's a good thing to keep in your medicine chest. Wow. The second thing you want to do is something most everybody that's listening in has heard of, and it's called echinacea. The combination echinacea golden seal will ramp up your immune system. Good stuff to have around. Okay? The combination is very, very good. And the third one, okay, which is the one that most people never think about. It's called licorice root extract. There we go. I got the look. Okay, licorice root extract contains something called glyceric acid. I'm not going to ask people to spell it, but glyceric acid is a natural antiviral. And none of these are very expensive. You know, $30-$40, you keep it in your medicine chest, and if you should get sick, it knocks it out. So what did I take when I got my recent bug? Yeah. That's exactly what I was taking. Robin's taking it now because I think I might have given it to her. Ouch. And yeah, no kidding. And that's how it's done. The second question, I can't remember.
Oh, what was it? Can allergies change over a lifetime?
Absolutely. Oh, there we go. Okay, your pine needles. And the answer is of course. Okay, what happens is that you have an allergic reaction to something called an antigen. Okay, so this allergen or antigen is present in the environment. It's there.
there.
Okay, so you get exposed to it once, your body develops a little bit of a reaction to it. You get exposed to it a second time, the reaction goes up. This isn't susceptible, unlucky individuals. And then after the third or fourth exposure, that's when you start developing quote-unquote allergies. This is what happens with poison ivy, poison sumac, poison oak. It develops with all manners of tree pollens. Okay, that's why, I'm allergic to pine, so I'm going to go to Arizona. Okay, that's usually good for 2 years. Why? Because then you're going to be exposed to the cactus pollens, and the second year you're sicker than you were the first year. So you really can't get around it. It's just one of those facts of life that if you're somebody that develops allergies, there we go. But pine and pine needles have an oil on them. Okay, and if you don't believe it, pick up a pine cone, handle it, and all of a sudden you're going to think you have tar all over your hands. Okay, I'm blessed with about a dozen of these pine trees in my backyard. And it leaves all this nastiness all over my driveway, all over my car, all over everything. Well, guess what? A wax is typically far more allergenic than about any other substance. So, like if you're allergic to poison ivy, and some people are, okay, you can eat the poison ivy, but you get a little of that wax on your skin, and it's all over Irene. Okay, so waxes, oils, and whatnot tend to be a little bit more allergenic than just about anything else.